welcome back to my channel. If you're not subscribed, make sure you hit that subscription button and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. We're back with another coffee chat. My lattes are getting so much better, okay? I'm using my French press. My fiance went and got a better one, like not a small one, a big one, so we can actually make like a proper pot and share. And the coffee has been coming out better. I feel like I've been able to steep it a bit longer. We've been using the Fellow, which is like an electric kettle, and you get to set the temperature, and I do it at 212 degrees because I feel like it just makes the coffee better. Yes, the temperature in which your water is makes a difference in how your coffee tastes. And this is a good latte. Anyway, this top is from Saks Pots. It has little like flowers on it. It looks like cherries. I thought it was cute. Let me stand up so you guys actually can. First, let me tell you what we're gonna talk about today. I've been reading some of your comments. Appreciate it because I'm able to make response videos like this. There's a couple things I wanna talk about. One, is the job market really tough, or are you just not trying hard enough? Crazy. I don't actually think that. Someone just said that to me, and I completely disagree. The job market is very tough, but I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on how to find opportunities in this job market. The other thing I want to talk about is how to find contract opportunities and working part-time, because unfortunately, the way America is set up, just about everybody has to have 2 jobs just to survive. So we will be talking about that. One of you guys asked me about like part-time work because you had never known of such a thing. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about, it kind of touches on the first topic, is why it might be hard for people to find entry-level opportunities in different industries. I wrote about this in my Substack, actually. It's called How to Stay Employed in 2025. So if you haven't read it, go read it. But I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think it's so hard to find entry-level roles. And it's not just in biotech or pharma. I think it's hard for a lot of people. It's even hard for senior people. So we're going to get into all of that. First, guys, I have made so much progress again with this office. I'm in the stage of painting. Yeah, I'm gonna be documenting the whole thing on Instagram. So if you're not following me there, make sure you go and follow me there, because it's just easier to film that content for that platform. So yeah, let me show you my outfit and then show you the office space. For one, the lighting in here is just not the best. This is better. These jeans are from Denim Revival off of 3rd Street in LA. It's this vintage jean store where this guy goes to find just like only real Levi's jeans, which I love. They're very comfortable. They're very old, but they were worth the $200. Yes, they were worth the $200 because they're real denim and not the fake denim that's out there today. Again, this top from Saks Pots, you could see it's so cute with all the, yeah. I'm wearing my regular watch, my engagement ring, my normal ring. I'm not wearing any earrings or anything like that. And then I just have on regular black socks because I'm just staying in the house today. Another thing, I made a really delicious toast today. I was trying to copy this company called Squirrel. I think I succeeded. It's a ricotta toast with 3 types of jams. Now let's get into this office space. This is what it looks like right now. This is the state. I started laying the foundation. Here's the paint, and I'm gonna show you guys the paint color. Right now I'm trying to paint the trim because I'm painting it this like deep blue color. It's called Dark Night by Sherwin-Williams. So the first thing I have to do is paint all the trim. So like parts of the door, obviously the trim down here, painting the trim over here, trim over here. Once I'm done painting the trim, I'm actually gonna be painting these walls a decorative paint color. It's still Dark Night. Got it custom from Portola Paints in North Hollywood. And essentially it's like this textured type of paint. You don't paint it on, you like scrape it on, and you have to do 2 coats. Obviously my fiance will be helping me with that because that's labor intensive. And really it just might end up being him doing, but you know, he doesn't need to know that right now. He can figure that out when we start. So right now I'm sitting on the floor because I'm in the process of like finishing taping up all the various spaces that need to be taped, and then we'll go from there. This was a really long intro. I know I've kept you guys long, and I'm actually keeping myself long because I have 9 minutes to film this and give you all the tea that I have on the job market and how to work contract or part-time jobs. So let's get into it. First, I went out with one of my friends, extremely hardworking, love them. Anyway, we were sitting talking, and we're both very seasoned in our professions, to the point where if we needed to find work, it would not be challenging for us to find work. I told you guys during like all the layoffs, I documented on TikTok, it's the job search playlist. but it only took me like 20 something days to find a job. Every time I'm looking for a contract or an opportunity or full-time job, it does not take me long, maybe maximum 30 days. So I only really budget 30 days to find a role. Now that is also because regulatory affairs is extremely lucrative. There's not a lot of professionals in the field. There's not a lot of people with experience. So when you are in an industry or in a function that doesn't have a lot of people, it's a lot easier for you to find opportunities. Like the demand is higher than the supply. Right? So we were talking and they were like, yeah, so many people are complaining to me about not being able to find jobs. And I'm just wondering, like, are these people just not trying hard enough? Because if it were you and me, and this was what my friend was saying, if it was you and me, I feel like we would do whatever it took to find an opportunity, even if it meant like going back to work at CVS or something like that, because we used to work in the pharmacy. Now, I sat there and I thought to myself, I was like, yeah, fair. And that's true. We would really get it out the mud if we needed to and do anything possible. And people don't believe me when I say that. If I had to really go back to CVS and work as a pharmacy technician, I would. It is what it is. Like, I don't believe anything is permanent. I think it's all momentary. So if for the moment, that's what I have to do, that's what I have to do. I do think people lack that kind of attitude, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, people aren't trying hard enough to find full-time work. Like, no. The job market is not the best. The job market is not the best because of layoffs, tech and COVID and all the companies that overhired. And I think a lot of companies took risks on entry-level people. And this is where we're segueing into the entry-level conversation. I think a lot of companies took risks on entry-level people. And what they ended up seeing was those roles or those people ended up being redundant. And in their redundancy, they didn't like work to cement their value to the organization or to their manager or to whomever. I think that there were a lot of people who were hired entry-level. And this is also what I've heard from hiring managers too. There were a lot of people who were entry-level or early in their careers that had really high salaries, 6 figures, 150K, whatever, but they weren't producing 150K, if you get what I'm saying, which is what resulted in a lot of early career professionals being laid off. And then I also think it's kind of put a taint on companies moving forward and hiring entry-level people today. That's the first thing. Also, artificial intelligence. I wrote about this in my Substack. I was asked to read a FDA guidance the other day and provide a summary. Now, I haven't had to do that in a long time, okay? But when you're at a startup, everybody does everything. So I haven't had to do that in a minute. Normally, you get like, what's it called? A red paper. I forgot what it's called. Pink sheet. It's called Pink Sheets. There's a company called Pink Sheets that gives like summaries of FDA stuff. Normally, you have to pay for a subscription. If the company doesn't pay for it, regulatory is just responsible for the intelligence. So anyway, I was asked to do that. And I was like, oh, I could just use an AI tool to upload this document and summarize it for me. And then I just read the important like subsections of the document, right? 5 years ago, that would have been a task that I gave to like an associate or a senior associate or a manager or like somebody who's like reports to me. I would have given them that and been like, summarize it for me, which would have been a learning opportunity for them to understand the guidances, to read them, to know how to summarize them, to know how to apply them, because they would be watching me apply the information that they had given me. That opportunity is lost now because there are tools that can be utilized, and a company would rather pay for a tool that's less expensive for senior members of a company to utilize in their everyday work tasks so they can reallocate those senior people for other tasks that the company wants them to do. This is all my perspective, what I've seen, and based on conversations I've had with people who actually fill roles within an organization. So those are the two caveats of why I think it's so hard for entry-level people to find a job. And for people who have experience, it's just hard because literally the job market is tough. Like a lot of people were laid off, so you have a lot of talented people in this pool of people looking for work. Doesn't mean it's impossible to find a job, but it does mean it's challenging, and people need to branch out of the industries that they're generally used to. I always say healthcare. It's the one industry that constantly has stability, and we will always need healthcare. I tell people who are in marketing, I'm like, you can go and work for a marketing agency that helps pharmaceutical companies work on their marketing of various products. You can go and do that. You can leverage your marketing skills to somewhere else or something else. That's an opportunity if you're getting laid off from like the CPG companies because supply for their product is higher than the demand. That's an option. If you are a business administration major, I have said before that you can go into BD, and I saw someone's comment, which I really appreciated, where they were saying they work in BD and they normally only hire like one entry-level person. You have to have some sort of like experience, which is very fair. You could try and go and work for a consulting firm or a vendor, people who have to seek out pharmaceutical companies to provide a service for. That's a business development opportunity as well. The other thing I would say is you don't only have to consider like pharma and healthcare if you're a business major. You can consider other industries that are seeking out professionals. It's just going to be like stuff that's not sexy. sexy, stuff that's boring. And I think that's the main problem, is people are focusing on the industries and the jobs that are super sexy and get all the attention. Like some of the most stable jobs, you guys have probably never heard of a day in your life. Up until I probably started creating content about regulatory affairs on YouTube and stuff, so many of my friends had no idea what regulatory affairs was until they were like, oh my God, I saw your video. And then I was like, oh, that's what you do for work? It's the most random functions within an organization that is how you're going to get an opportunity in 2025. It's not going to be a FANG company, because a lot of those companies are hiring freeze. But there's other type of technology companies out there. Like I always say, medical device, biotechnology companies. Those are industries that you could explore and possibly working for their vendors. Now, I've discussed on this side why it's hard to find opportunities and why it's even harder for people who are entry level. I had to take a quick bite. Ooh, this bread is thick and I love it. The other thing I want to mention is like people need to amp up their soft skills. I'm sorry. We need to amp up our soft skills because one, with AI, we know AI doesn't have a personality. We know AI doesn't collaborate with people. And that's something that's required in human nature, is collaboration. That's something that executives respect, is feedback from real people. Their real perspectives, their real opinions. And I think that in 2025, people have to get really comfortable interviewing and also get comfortable utilizing their resume as a tool to get recruiters or hiring managers when they are reviewing their resume to feel some sort of attachment to them as a candidate. I started in regulatory affairs in hematology, and it was my personal connection to the disease that allowed for me to be hired over all the 17 other people they interviewed. And I had to wait 7 months to be hired for that job because I was the first person they interviewed. And I think I had like the least amount of experience out of everybody they did interview, but it was my personality, my ability to connect with the people who interviewed me, my humanism. I think that's something that people need to remember as AI is integrating. Doesn't mean it's going to replace you, but it does mean you need to work a little bit harder in connecting with the people that you will potentially be working for and making your resume something that catches the recruiter or the interviewer's attention. Yes, pay attention to what's in their job description and include those things in your resume, but also add aspects of humanism, personal touches. Whether you say that like you're a personal advocate or you're a health advocate for sickle cell disease patients, that's something that's going to be like, what does she mean by health advocate? And there'll be further interest in inquiring more about what that means, especially if I'm applying to a company that is specialized in hematological treatments. So that's just one thing. And then obviously in the interview, you also want to showcase your personality, showcase your ability to engage in conversation, showcase your ability to ask questions, to be inquisitive, to be curious. These are all the things that AI cannot do right now. And also the fact that like there's so many people looking for jobs at the same time. What is going to set you apart from another person is not going to be your experience. A lot of the times it's going to be your personality, whether you are a fit for the team that you are going to be going into. I saw a comment on one of my videos of someone saying like, oh, I have my PharmD and it's still hard for me to find opportunities in biotech and pharma. Or someone else said something along the lines of like, oh, I did like medical lab and I haven't been able to find a job since. I think the truth of the matter is, accept the reality that the job market is challenging, but I also accept the fact that you are likely trying your best to find opportunities. In a second, I'm going to talk about how to find contract jobs and part-time opportunities because that's another great chance for people to integrate into biotech and pharma. But I keep saying this and I'll just keep saying it over and over. You have to explore different functions. Remove the dream in your head of like, okay, my first job is going to be regulatory strategy. It's not. My first job is going to be like a business development senior executive. It's not senior executive, but you get the gist. You know what I mean? It's not. Okay. That's why I always tell people start as a clinical research associate and start at a CRO, a contract research organization. CROs hire everybody and anybody, genuinely. Make sure your resume makes sense for the roles that you're applying to. Make sure that you're utilizing all the features on all these job boards like LinkedIn and ZipRecruiter and Indeed. A lot of people think these contract jobs are scams, but they're not. And that brings me to contracts. All the things I just said of uploading your resume and allowing recruiters to like search it. That's how I got my first job at Pfizer in regulatory. It was a 3-year contract. I didn't stay for all 3 years, but that is how I got my first contract. Was I just uploaded my resume to all the job boards and a recruiter reached out to me and was like, I think your pharmacy technician experience would be great for this opportunity. And I took the job. So when those recruiters reach out to you, respond. If they ask you for something like your like social security number, obviously don't give it to them. And even if they're like, oh, I need the last 4 of your social, say, I don't feel comfortable giving you that, but I don't mind giving you my month and day of birth. Like, What are they going to do with your month and day of birth? Nothing. Literally nothing. Don't give the last four of your social, and that's pretty much it. But a lot of those recruiters, it's just how like the contracting industry works for the most part, and it's getting a little bit better, but there's still those kind of recruiters out there that will ask for that kind of information. I'll make another video if you guys are interested explaining like the whole contracting thing and how there's different type of contracting organizations, but that is a great way for you to possibly get into the industry. Part-time contracts are great because I've talked about it before. You get to moonlight if you have a full-time job and then a side job, because you know we're in America and everybody basically has to work like 10 jobs now. But you get a part-time job and a full-time job, and you're able to just make money doing both. Whenever I do work my part-time contracts, I let them know that I have a full-time opportunity already, but I can do the work between X, Y, and Z hours if they inquire. Most of the times I don't, so I don't ever give like that detailed information, but it's very possible to have a full-time job and also a part-time job, especially if you're working in different time zones. I tend to pair, because I'm based in LA, so I tend to like work with companies that are on the East Coast, and that's why I start my days at 5. So that from like, if I'm working 5, 6, 7, 8, by the time it's 8 o'clock and I start my 9 to 5, I work from 8 to 5. I already did 3 hours, and then maybe I just need to throw in like 1 more hour at the end of the day from like 5 to 6 p.m. after my full-time job to complete my like 20 hours for the week. That's personally what I do. I find these opportunities on LinkedIn and Indeed. I'm not kidding. That's where I find majority of them. As you become more experienced in your industry, whatever you're doing, there's a high probability that you will gain relationships with certain recruiters, and they will always just reach out to you for stuff. Like that's, yeah, they'll always just reach out to you for stuff. The last thing I want to say in regards to like all of this, finding part-time jobs, you know, trying to find a job in general in this job market, and just trying to set yourself apart from other candidates that are interviewing, is sometimes you're gonna have to do a little bit more to get what you want. I talked about this in another video of what I think it takes to be an entrepreneur, so if you haven't seen that one, make sure you check it out. But I think one thing that has allowed for me to not worry about finding employment is I'm not the kind of person that's gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. That's above my pay grade. I'm not doing this. Oh no. I'm not that kind of person. Mainly because I know that whenever I'm in a place of employment, I'm interviewing for my next job while I'm already at my current job. You know what I mean? When my colleagues or bosses see how I work, or how I'm just like, I have a can-do attitude or a can-do spirit, they see that. And when they leave their place of employment and they go somewhere else, who gets the call? Yeah, oh my gosh, sure. I would love to come and consult or work full-time for you. That's literally how I got the job I have now. This kind of job market is an employer's market, and understanding that, you know, just be cognizant of the fact that you're going to need to be a little bit more flexible. I've also been getting asked from people like, how do I find a remote job in this time? Don't even think about it. Think about hybrid. Think about finding a job at all. Think about finding a job at all. And this is kind of why my friend was saying, are people trying hard enough to find employment? Because people have all these like requirements and stipulations for a job, when in reality you have to assess where you are professionally and assign those assessments, if that makes sense. Like if I was asked to go into the office right now, which I do, I have to go like once a quarter or whatever, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's not a big deal. But if I was asked to go into the office every day and I couldn't find anything else, I would do it. If I could not find anything else, if it was like, wow, this is bone dry, I would just have to accept it and take it on the chin and understand that it's not like this forever. Most senior people who have 10 years of experience plus, they're probably not going to be forced to go into the office. But if you're trying to get into an industry, accept the fact that you literally might have to go into the office. You might have to accept the hybrid approach. You might have to accept wearing multiple hats. You might have to accept juggling more things at once. But remember, you guys, this is not permanent. It's momentary, and we're playing chess, not checkers. That I've always seen my career and like how I make decisions and like finding a job or whatever as chess. This isn't go fish. You have to be strategic. And if you go to a job and it's like, oh, I'm wearing multiple hats, you know what? I'm going to see this as I got the experience. I'm going to put this on my resume. I'm going to stay here for 6 months to 12 months. And then I'm going to be out of this place and find a better job that pays me better. And I get to do the things that I want. The first 5 years of my career, I was doing every and anything that I was asked. Come into the office, fly here, do this, go to the conference, blah, blah, blah. I was underpaid. My direct reports were making more than me, and I still had a smile on my face because look at me now. Thank you for the experience, because now I don't ever have to worry. Okay, this was very long and I have to go now. I'm 2 minutes late to the next thing that I have to do. So we will chat next time. I hope you found this video helpful. Again, if you are not following me on Substack, make sure that you go and read that article. I gave really great actionable tips about how to stay and get employed in 2025. If you are looking for contract opportunities, I already told you in this video where to find them. I'll put a little summary in the description box as well, so it's a little bit easier. And just remember that momentary. And I know this is a challenging time. Don't let anyone tell you you're not working hard enough to find a job. No one wants to not have money to pay their bills. You know what I mean? Okay, bye guys.